It'll be great to know from the audience if you've introduced AI into your overall strategy at present. I know it's a hot topic that we're going to be discussing today.
Indeed.
Ash, that's one for you as well. Have you introduced it into some of your work? I see you playing around with a lot of images and stuff using what's the one tool?
Dream Studio.
Dream Studio. I remember before Christmas we used that, didn't we?
Client we were working with, utilizing HubSpot as a platform, and managed to experiment with their tool ahead of release. But yeah, no, definitely. I think a lot of organizations aren't aware that you may have already been utilizing AI tools, especially if you are already using HubSpot. And that's where we're here to educate you today.
Yeah, brilliant. And in personal life, do you use it at all?
I can't say I do.
I thought you were going to say I can't
live without it.
I can't confirm or deny.
Do you?
Yeah.
You're knowingly?
Yeah, a lot.
Well, in your personal life, yeah.
Yeah, like some evenings I'll just go on ChatGPT and just try and make my life more efficient that way, or let it control me.
Have you noticed in any way?
No.
Have you dared spend a day where you've let AI make decisions for you?
Oh my days, that sounds like a great film, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of AI films, Her with Joaquin Phoenix.
No.
Where he falls in love with the.
Is Joaquin Phoenix a person?
Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker. You know, in the Joker film. Joker.
I've not seen it.
Not seen him, Joaquin Phoenix, man.
No.
Walk the Line?
No.
Wow.
No.
I need to give you some films to watch, bro.
I do. I live under the rock. The last film I ever watched was Almost Famous, right? And that was 20, 30 years ago.
Oh yeah, that's a great film, that. And another one, I, Robot.
That's the one I have actually seen with Will Smith, right?
Will Smith,
yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the one I can reference.
When you were a kid, you used to have I don't know, but I used to have just only owned 4 DVDs.
Okay.
So I just kept watching the same DVDs over and over again. Was
3 of them iRobot?
One was iRobot. The other was Elf.
Okay, yeah, classic.
Convenient because we were dressed as an elf last time we were in this room.
Appropriate.
I think another one was Little Britain.
Oh, the series.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That explains a lot about you.
And the other one was The Office as well.
Okay,
the original Office.
I mean, that's quite a blend. That's quite a blend in regards to. I can see there's different characters, elements of you from those 4
DVDs. All right, then let's begin. So again, thank you for attending the Liverpool HubSpot user group. Great to see some familiar faces and new faces joining us at these events. We hope you get a lot out of today's session. Today, we'll be doing some intros to anyone new joining us about myself and Ash here, and our topic today, as well as our agency. We will then be moving into our core topic, which is all around how you can integrate AI into your CRM strategy. And at the end of this effort, we'll be hosting a Q&A session, but please feel free to pop questions into the chat panel as we go through the session. Before I introduce myself and Ash here, we want to say a big thank you to Dan here, who's heading up our video and heads this lovely podcast suite. I recognize we have a new feature, Dan, today, which is this lovely Ivy wall here as well. And shout out to Hugh today, who helped with the slides. I know he's very impressed with the slides that he put together as well.
We all should be. And I think at the end of this, everyone, will be appreciative.
Yeah.
But I do like this room is getting better and better every time I come in here.
It is, isn't it? I'm thinking about just living here.
Yeah, I think
it is better than my house right now.
Just go natural in here.
Yeah, it's better decorated than my house as well. Okay, so on to your host today. For those who have not met yet, I'm Johnny. I'm not crazy. I'm the business development manager here at Fuelius. We are an elite HubSpot agency, and my role is to essentially support businesses who are using HubSpot to achieve their medium to long-term goals in using the platform. And I also support businesses who are evaluating HubSpot in terms of scoping out the right subscription and implementation plans if they are to take out the platform. I am joined today by Ash, who I refer to as a unicorn.
Yes.
Unicorn Ash, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm at Fuelius. I'm a technical digital strategist. Ultimately, all that means is I work with numerous different organizations to ensure they get the most out of HubSpot with configuration, implementation, and education. Speaking to various organizations from recruitment to the property sector to software developers, a mixed bag of organizations, just to ensure that they are, maximizing and seeing the potential and ROI of HubSpot.
Yeah, I'm amazed every time I got a call with you, you could just instantly understand someone's business, knowing them for 5 minutes. So credit to you.
I appreciate that.
Which is why the unicorn. Now, if you have missed a hug before and want to catch up, you can do so at any time going over to our video hub. We also have a YouTube channel with some great tricks and tips on how you can leverage HubSpot to its fullest potential. So I would strongly recommend subscribing to our YouTube channel and taking a look. So on to our main topic today, which is all about AI tools in the marketplace and how it can impact your business today.
So right, in short then, so AI, how big do you think it is?
Huge. I think it's like the biggest thing of our generation. I think it's what probably the wheel was to the caveman.
Okay, yeah, so that's quite revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
So
In your life, especially.
In my world, we had the mobile phone. Do we have mobile phones in my life?
you currently have mobile
No,
phones.
I mean like when it start, like because I remember in the 90s, my mum having like a brick of a mobile.
Right,
I
okay.
swear that was like the first mobile phone.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was being raised, there was mobile phones and stuff.
When did the internet come out?
I should know this.
Pub quiz question. Anyone in the chat? When did the internet come out?
I'm not going to embarrass myself by saying this after I've just made out I'm a technical person.
Yeah, that'd be a good pub quiz question. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that get that though. But first off, we do want to highlight that AI is the future. It is here and it is here to stay. I'm sure we've all seen the blow up of ChatGPT and tested the platform out. I can think of one scenario in my personal life of how I use ChatGPT.
Intriguing.
Great life hack this. If you do not know what you want for tea and you can't be bothered to go to the shop, just type into ChatGPT all the ingredients that you have in your fridge and tell it to come up with a recipe.
Nice. And what have you made so far?
I can neither confirm or deny. It was an omelette, a Spanish omelette with ham in it.
So you're telling me your cupboards had milk, egg, and that's it?
Yeah, all the standard
Omelette ingredients
you have in the house. I'm not fancy at home, though. Not fancy. Since January, it has gained a lot of traction, and we have seen the release of a number of other AI tools similar to ChatGPT. Since the likes of Google Bard, Bing Chat, and UChat. Now, which one was the one that had the
what?
Which was the one that the stock went right down after they had the advert? I think.
That was Google, wasn't it?
Google,
because
yeah.
they did a mishap in regards. So I think their marketing advert actually had some false information in it.
I think what they did is they literally tested the platform out a bit like you're going to do today, Ash. Sorry to warn you. And it just spat out the wrong information, which caused like the stock market to go.
Yeah, so I think just before we dive into actually the demonstrational piece, it's probably worth just having a very clear asterisk symbol to stipulate that what we are about to showcase for you today is in an alpha stage. So it's not even to the point of beta yet. So if in the unlikely instance I get through today with no technical errors, I will be amazed. And that's no reflection on the platform. It's just in its infancy. So obviously this stuff is still being, scrutinized. It's still obviously a waiting list. So there's obviously just UAT users at the moment. And yeah, I mean, touch wood, you're gonna have no issues today.
That is a very professional cover your back.
It's just a massive asterisk. Yeah. That's what I just throw it out. It's like,
I can't wait for this. This is gonna be fun. AI has been around for a while, even before January and the social traction that ChatGPT got. But you may not know it's been around for a while, as we've just been discussing. Basically, it's been around since, when you're online and you're shopping, maybe searching the internet or ordering food deliveries like Deliveroo, or ordering a taxi, navigating from place to place, or enjoying music on, say, Spotify, or watching movies on Netflix. You're probably using AI, but don't even know it, because it's taking in what you're liking and going to referring you recommendations. But it has just become relevant in sales, marketing, and CRM strategies across the globe, which is why we're talking about it today. Ash, HubSpot has actually had AI in it for a while.
Correct.
Not just what we're going to be discussing today.
Exactly that. And we'll go into that a bit more in greater detail shortly. But I think if you're obviously active users of HubSpot, you probably won't even know. But things like inbox automation, so HubSpot can actually streamline the process of taking contents from your email and adding that to a contact record. So for example, if you're adding a contact to the CRM from Outlook or Gmail, it can look up their first name, last name, their location, their job title, and pre-populate that against the contact record. So that's AI effectively scanning that email. Another iteration is if you say you're going to do a follow-up activity, so you send someone an email, I'll follow up with you in 3 days' time, you stipulate that in your email message, HubSpot will then just make the recommendation of whether you want to create a task off the back of that. So that's AI effectively already, being leveraged on the HubSpot platform that a lot of users probably aren't aware. Same again for like predictive lead scoring, call recording and transcription. All of this is leveraging AI.
I've just thought of another thing that's probably AI. You know, when you're writing an email, using Gmail, and you're halfway through a sentence, and it completes your sentence for you of what you're about to say. That's AI as well, isn't it?
It's machine learning. Yeah, exactly. So the machine is obviously understanding, and it does that on a user level as well. So it can understand your behavior and to then make recommendations based on maybe tone of voice or things like that. And that's things like Grammarly, for example, is starting to make headway in areas like that. Because again, it's learning about you as an individual and then trying to standardize your communications on that basis. So it's recommendations it's going to make is like based on with time. And again, this stuff is in its infancy, as we're stipulating, will get better in regards to your personal tone of voice and the way you word things or the language you use.
Just making our life easier. Now, one thing to call out, there has been a lot of noise about AI replacing humans, but I'm here to assure you, AI is not here to make you redundant. Or at least not yet. The truth, though, is that while some AI systems are very good at some jobs, AI in general isn't quite good enough just yet to fully replicate the entire skill sets needed to do most work. Self-driving vehicles haven't been completely cracked yet, despite billions being invested and numerous companies getting to the trial stage. We aren't yet at a point where bus or taxi drivers are in danger of immediately losing their jobs. However, AI is at a point where it can really support your teams to become more effective and efficient to enable them to spend more time on the bigger picture. How can AI do this for marketers? Well, AI can streamline and optimize marketing campaigns. It can also eliminate the risk of human error. While much of digital marketing world is still dependent on the human element, an AI program might be able to generate a report using nothing but data. However, to truly connect with customers, you'll still need that human element. Empathy, compassion, and storytelling are all attributes that machines can't emulate, at least not yet. But where our AI can be powerful in helping you generate a content framework or journeys to save the individual's responsibility time, which we look to content marketing, could be around the research area, improving the process of how you generate your content. With AI, businesses can also optimize their return on investment by only placing ads in front of relevant viewers. Ads can be bought automatically, then personalized at scale.
Correct. And I think that's one thing we're going to stress as part of this whole session is that none of these tools are effectively going to replace Emily at this stage, as you've stipulated. I think a lot of it is about how you can kind of streamline processes, gain efficiencies, scale. Let's say if you're a marketing department of one and you're using a lot of external agencies, for example, it's not going to necessarily replace those relationships, but it can help you at least like generate inspiration and start generating content. So obviously, this still is going to require some human intervention. It's still going to, like you say, and the AI system isn't going to be aware of your tone of voice or your particular branding or your messaging style, for example. So the idea is that it requires that human intervention, but the idea is it can streamline that process for you by generating a framework.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've used it in sort of professional capacity where we do a lot of sales cadence messagings for sales automation, for sort of outbound prospecting, and you can start using ChatGPT for that. You can build out a framework of a sales cadence, and it will give you a good structure of the first emails, an introduction, then it's a value offer, then it's a benefits, and then maybe a case study. But what it actually spits out is very robotic,
kind of generic, would you say?
Generic.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I hope you are doing like the typical, I hope this email finds you well.
Yeah, sure.
I've seen that meme.
Yeah.
How the email really found me, and he starts smashing his like head on a laptop. It's just really like anybody who sees that, who's a decision maker in the company, is just gonna know that that's just like really generic. It's not like personalized. So you do still have to tailor it.
Yeah.
It's not complete yet, but it does help you. It gains efficiency. It gives you a good structure of what email should be sent and when.
Yeah, and that's what we're hoping people will get value from today is the fact that we will kind of go through a day in the life of, let's say, a salesperson, a marketeer, and you can start to understand how you can leverage these tools to kind of gain some of these efficiencies. And I think it's kind of, if you imagine like HubSpot's own template library, when you go to create a sequence, or if you go to create a email template, it's got examples there. And maybe this is seen as no different. You can roll out that template, but it's not going to say you're going to send that template straight out, right? You're still going to have that as a framework to then develop upon that to make it more to your brand. And I think this should be seen as no different. It's kind of like a template library, but you can kind of use kind of standard modern language to gain your answers effectively, or to gain that asset. So it should be seen no differently.
Yeah, 100%. So AI will affect your job, business, or industry in some shape or form. Ignoring the emergence of AI and believing that it won't affect your job, business, or industry is the biggest mistake you could actually make. Failing to do so means that we are likely to be overtaken by competitors or startups who have been quicker to adapt to the changing world. And we have seen this time and time again when advances in technology occur and companies fail to adapt. We have often seen giants fall. For example, Borders Group. Do you remember Borders Group?
I actually don't. And when I was going through the slide deck, I was curious. And am I too old? Is that what this is telling me?
Borders Group was this huge bookstore. Like, it was an American bookstore, but they did have some in some of the outlets over here. I remember my dad used to go, because he used to get all the sort of American car magazines.
Okay.
So you could have all the American magazines you could ever want, which you wouldn't get like in the likes of W.H. Smith in this, because it was that big.
Got you.
It had so many books, had a massive children's book section, but it also had this big DVD section, a bit like HMV.
Okay, yeah.
And you had the headphones. And I remember, like, while my dad was looking for a book, I would be in the CD section, like listening to Led Zeppelin, maybe.
Nice.
Or you can literally have any genre you want. It was actually probably more like 50 Cent
Okay.
that I was listening to. But I said Led Zeppelin because you're here and you're cool and I'm trying to impress you, Ash.
Oh, dude, it works. It actually works.
But back to my point. Borders Group opened its first bookstore in 1971 and they were a success for years. But in the mid 2000s, so in the noughties, Borders failed to adapt to technologies and never embraced the internet like Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Another one, this one you will know, Blockbuster.
Yeah, funny enough, that is one I'm familiar with. And I guess all this is painted is that digital transformation piece. It's like companies not following those technology trends where they can stay ahead of the curve. And things like, another one on the list maybe is like Uber, for example. Obviously how Uber's revolutionized like the actual taxi or the personal delivery service. Because companies or modern day, let's say taxi or traditional taxi firms not having that technology has meant that they've probably lost out on business as a result of that. And because of how dominant players are like Uber now, they will just fall behind naturally. And I think this is the picture we're painting here, is that, digital transformation, organizations need to keep ahead of the curve to stay competitive, because you can gain efficiencies. And if that's cost efficiencies, that means you can invest more in other areas of the business, for example. This is where AI is going to start to show value.
Yeah. Well, Blockbuster, anyway, they failed to see the opportunity with streaming services like Netflix in 2000 and actually rejected the opportunity to buy them out.
Yeah, correct. I think I heard something on the radio in regards to this in relation to a program. They were starting to do their own in-house, but yeah, they had the option to buy them and they just kind of laughed at the prospect of this is going to go nowhere.
How wrong they
were.
How wrong they were. Even Disney has their own stream. Everyone's got their own stream. If you're basically a film production company now, you have a streaming.
Yeah, or partnered with.
Yeah, or partnered with. Kodak, the technology company that dominated the photographic film market during the 20th century, they failed to innovate. Even though they developed the first digital camera, the management was so focused on the success of photography film that they missed out on the digital revolution.
So Kodak's no longer around?
He's around in some capacity, but like
they
went from the top,
yeah, of course,
like the very top, to like mid.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean Canon probably
a more leading.
Yeah, a more leading than that. Would you say?
Yeah, I think I recognize the name Canon more nowadays.
Another one. Now you definitely had one of these growing up. Nokia.
I did. You remember Snake?
Snake.
That's the one thing that everyone references, right?
Nokia Snake. Yeah. What was the Nokia the famous
classic?
One?
Yeah.
3310. Yeah, I remember having one of them or just asking one for Christmas. They were awesome.
You can change the color of the cases.
Yeah, that was good. Well, they were the first to create a cellular network in the world. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, Nokia was the global leader of mobile phones. The company overestimated its strength of its brand, arrive late to the smartphone race and still win. In 2008, 1 year after the first iPhone release, Nokia finally decided to compete with Android, but it was too late and their products weren't competitive enough. When's the last time you saw Nokia?
Oh, actually, well, funny enough, I was at a venue the other day and there was one cemented in the ground.
What?
Yeah, it's a true story. The venue, there was just a random Nokia that was cemented in the ground.
Do you think some builder just dropped it in? That was a bad day for them. So before we get into how we can use ChatSpot as part of your overall strategies, we thought we would give you some other favorite AI tools for businesses. ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT why it is one of our favorites as an and it came out with this. As an AI language model, my primary purpose is to assist you in generating text for various purposes, such as writing, chatting, and researching. I am programmed to understand human language and can provide you with a vast array of responses to your queries and concerns. I am designed to learn and adapt to your needs. So the more you use me, the more I can understand your preferences and tailor my responses accordingly. I am honored to be part of your toolbox, and I will do my best to continue to provide you the helpful and insightful responses. Now, that's what I mean. That sounds so robotic. Like, where's the personality?
Yeah, none. I mean, I thought you could have written that, to be honest, but like,
I mean, that's probably a bit too wordy for me, to be honest. Have you seen my emails?
Yeah.
Hi. Another one. I know that you like this one, Jasper AI. It's an artificial intelligence trained to write original creative content. They consult with the world's best SEO and direct response marketing experts to teach Jasper how to write blog articles, social media posts, website copy, and more. That's a particular favorite of yours?
Yeah, I've dabbled with that one. I mean, it's used quite a lot, obviously, with organizations that are trying to generate content. And this is where we can start to showcase you today that solutions like HubSpot's own offerings could potentially be used alternatively. And again, the whole idea here is that it's not going to replace your marketing department or your content writers or your third-party agencies. The idea is that this can just kind of streamline to help with the inspirational piece and obviously generating those frameworks. But yeah, I've dabbled with it, admittedly, not as much as that of ChatSpot.
That is the whole message. It's just here to assist you. It's here to improve your life, make it more efficient, make your job more easier, or allow you more time to focus on the things that really matter.
Yeah, correct. So if you can imagine like the research component involved in that, and actually the piece of actually generating that initial draft can just all be done in a matter of seconds.
Another one, Midjourney. AI image generator based on a viewpoint of artists can generate some really cool and dynamic images for your brand and site, etc. Midjourney, I think this is one that people have, it's been fooling artists in art competitions. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So this one's actually managed to win awards just on the basis of people believing it was actually art created by artists. And lo and behold, it was actually AI that generated this.
That's so cool, isn't it? Actually,
what that again, like imagery, I guess it can be a bit more because it's probably there's maybe a stylistic design that you may have as an artist.
Yeah.
Whereas I guess there's no like words or anything involved, so it's easier to probably confuse or mislead somebody.
Are you an artist?
Far from it.
Yeah, neither am I. I really failed at like art in school. It was really bad. And of course, our real favorite, which is ChatSpot, is a conversational CRM bot that sales, marketing, service professionals can connect to HubSpot to maximize its productivity, which is what we are going to be discussing today, aren't we, Ash?
Exactly that. So we're actually going to go through some real life scenarios where you can actually start utilizing the platform at the moment and actually start to provide you kind of insight on how you can start to gain value from AI within HubSpot immediately.
Ash, shall I stop sharing my screens? You can.
Yeah, let's try this. Let's see if I fail at the first hurdle.
Here we go. Oh, I can just see myself now.
So all being well. Right, so without further ado, let's just jump into it. So immediately, how HubSpot can ChatSpot can actually support your sales team. So what I'm going to be doing is actually showcasing some kind of day-to-day activities that the users of your HubSpot portal can actually start to leverage some of these tools. So I'll be going through some actual real-life prompts and actually going through what a day-to-day example would look like for your sales team. Worth calling out that, as mentioned, this is in the alpha state at the moment. So as a result of that, there is going to probably be some technical issues that we may incur. but I'm testing thoroughly on this.
Is
And
this wood?
I believe it's wood. A majority of
Wood
the
behind
time
you.
it has been working.
It's behind you.
So how HubSpot can actually, ChatSpot can support your sales team. So the first thing to call out is it can actually speed up the processes and actually minimize those mundane tasks and improve engagement for you. So what that means is we can actually go through an example of how you may locate an organization. So let's say in conjunction with HubSpot's ABM tool. So within HubSpot's ABM tool, your target accounts, there's the option to see prospecting accounts. And effectively, these are companies that visit your website that you already know the organization at this stage. So you haven't actually identified a contact within that company. So, traditionally you may go to tools like ZoomInfo or Sales Navigator, for example, to actually identify these contacts that you want to try and reach out to try and penetrate these accounts. What you can start to do is run some of these queries now through HubSpot to actually start doing this prospecting piece. So the idea is if you know that, let's just take HubSpot, for example, has gone to your website, you can then start doing some research against HubSpot as an organization to then start identifying whether or not they're a good fit for you as a company. And then equally start to extrapolate information from that contact and then start prompting the CRM to do some of these administrative tasks for you on your behalf.
That's really cool. Can you pinpoint decision maker in that regard? If you know that company's been on your website and you know they're looking at some stuff, say, to do with a new, like one of the products we have is building new websites on the HubSpot CMS. Often that would be a marketing director, head of marketing. Can you pinpoint like that, do you think?
Yes, I'll actually check it. So if you know the contact already, so it is quite reliant on, let's say, knowing their name or their email address to do that research for you. No, so we're necessarily kind of integrate with things like Sales Navigator or LinkedIn to actually look for contacts within that company for you. But take the example. So if we're going to look at the organization of HubSpot, so what this is going to do is actually leveraging ChatGPT is actually go off and extrapolate some of this information for us. So you can see here it's already started to summarize some key information against HubSpot. So let's say they visited your website. We want to say if this is a good fit for your organization. And you can see now we're actually starting to capture some information.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's great.
So let's say we now know that this is the contact we want to speak to. So let's just do a lookup against this email address as well, against this individual. So again, as you can see in a couple of seconds, we're quickly starting to capture some information back. As you can see, we can look up job titles. We can go off to LinkedIn to actually look into this further. So let's say this Dharmesh individual is somebody you actually want to reach out to. So we've identified that this is actually a good fit. This is the right person within this organization. And we now want to start actually doing some prospecting with them. So what we can firstly do is, let's say, take the example of add this contact to our CRM. So we'll go add Disha. And let's say he's based in Boston, as we can see there. So you can add some fields to this. And again, this functionality is being built out further. So the idea is that HubSpot right into our first.
That's why it's not going to take over our jobs just yet.
Let's just try that again. Maybe an existing contact in the CRM.
Probably.
So I think it is because he is already in there. So evidence of that is if I go, so this is when things start to get interesting. So we've added the contact to the CRM, we've looked them up. Now what we want to do is actually draft a sales email to actually send out to them to obviously start doing this prospecting. So if we go draft a sales email for Disha at HubSpot.com to invite him, let's say, to an event we're running, to attend, let's say, Inbound 2023. Now, all being well, if this works as I hope and the actual demo lords are looking upon me, this should draft an email for us effectively, as mentioned, which is a perfect immediate framework that we can start to obviously customize to then send this out to our prospects. So let's just try that again. And so as mentioned, this is in its infancy. And as you can imagine, during all of my testing to date, this was working as expected. But now I'm in a live scenario.
There we go.
Perfect.
Ooh.
So as you can see, what you can immediately do is actually put this into obviously HubSpot portal, make your relevant alterations, and you can start to build that sequence. So again, if we're using the ABM tool within HubSpot, we're going to start using ChatSpot to actually start generating some of this content for us. And now we can start to create a sequence, let's say, of email templates within HubSpot so that we can send this out. Now, the irony here, this is obviously a HubSpot event. But yeah, this is just one example of how you can start to draft those emails. Tone of voice, as we've touched on numerous times, obviously will need kind of reviewing because As you mentioned, this does feel like it's a bit out of the box kind of thing. So it does still require that human intervention. But for a salesperson, let's say, they can immediately, with one sentence, start to get that inspiration on that framework of what to send out as part of your prospecting.
Yeah, this is exactly what I do, but you can all be contained within inside of HubSpot, right?
Exactly that. So let's say we've now sent this as an email within HubSpot. What we can now look to do is actually create ourselves a task, let's say, to actually reach out to Dharmesh in 3 days' time, because we want to follow up with him over the phone to actually see if there is an interest in attending our event. So if we do something like create a task for Disha at HubSpot.com to call in 3 days' time. Now, all being well, HubSpot's going to actually automatically create this task for us within our CRM environment. And this is done by actually just linking your portal to ChatSpot, and then ChatSpot is going to surface that information for us. So now if I just click here, view in HubSpot, again, all being well, you'll see now that this task has been created for us and that this is automatically done. So because of that linkage between actually HubSpot itself and ChatSpot, it's automatically going to generate any reports, any tasks, activities, notes for us, and do that in our live portal.
That's so good.
So another example again is we can generate tasks, we can generate notes. So if I go create a note to remind me that Disha is a vegetarian, for example. Now again, HubSpot's going to automatically create this note for us, associate it to the relevant record, and then therefore we've automatically logged our note against that contact record.
That is so clever.
So if you imagine, again, in the day-to-day, if you've got someone visiting your website, all of that prospecting, all of that activity, generating those sales emails, creating those relevant activities can be done in just a few queries. Now, obviously, this functionality is going to continue to get built out, so I wouldn't be surprised in due course that there's further activity logging you can do. There's more comprehensive kind of sales sequencing you can do. Actually, potentially just query with HubSpot to generate a sequence of 3 to 5 emails to actually do that outbound prospecting for you. And again, start to roll that out into sequences. So still being in its alpha state, this is functionality. Won't be surprised that will be released in due course. But what do you think in regards to yourself? You're obviously being a BDM. Can you kind of see how...
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I'm already using like ChatGPT for this kind of stuff, but if I could have it in contained, and for example, if I could use this tool to say, create a sequence for me, which is a cadence of 8 emails, 4 days in between each email, just so not so it's the task is done and leave it there, just to gain the efficiency of having that created for me. It's going to save me a number of clicks, and time is money when you work in sales.
Totally. And ultimately, every salesperson, the less they need to do on administration, the less they need to spend time on prospecting, actually company researching, the more time they can actually put to the task at hand, which is generating revenue, right? So the idea here is you can minimize those mundane tasks. You can streamline, obviously, their day-to-day activities, and they can just do that with modern language. You know, they're not having to kind of navigate throughout the CRM to do all that activity logging, that associations. The idea here is just through a command, through using modern language, you can actually automatically generate these activities and actually do this prospecting. Now, one new feature that was released, I think this week. So if we take the example of recruitment, just as one of the common ones I incur that I can see value for this. So funding rounds, for example, if you know that an organization has recently just undertaken a funding round, that means there's investment, right? And typically off the back of investment, there's going to be some staffing requirements or some additional staff required. So therefore, one of the new features that HubSpot has released, so they've got this new prompts library, and it's really useful in the sense of just kind of starting to generate some of these prompts out of the box. But a new one that has recently just been released is on the basis of actually extrapolating that funding information. So if I find the relevant one, funding data. So if we take here again, just the example of HubSpot, all you need to do is stipulate the organization. HubSpot will do the rest for us. But as you can see, we can start to identify this publicly accessible information with just a few clicks. And the idea here is if you know there's been a recent funding round in something like recruitment, then you can make your follow-up activity or your outreach efforts more timely.
Yeah, make it super relevant as well. Yeah, I could definitely see a user case for us using that as well.
Yeah, because you were in recruitment, right?
Yeah, I went to recruitment before this. Yeah, definitely. I mean, but just in any sort of sales team, I imagine they could probably use funding rounds. I mean, you can pretty much pivot any product and sell it into someone based on funding.
Yeah, B2B organizations that obviously have a product that can be aligned either to companies that have recently undertaken funding rounds or startups, for example.
Yeah.
This is a great way to start extrapolating that information with just a few commands.
Yeah. Well, just going back on your previous point, there's a message from Hugh here, who I actually thought about this myself. On that email you just showed us previously, is there a way to put personalization tokens in there? Like, for example, when I'm writing out a template inside of HubSpot, like, hi, first name, I see you work at X company.
Absolutely. So the idea here is that you can kind of copy this, you can put this into HubSpot and then add your personalization tokens.
But you would have to copy it over. You wouldn't be able to.
Correct. Yeah. In this current instance, that is the case.
Okay.
But again, I wouldn't be surprised in due course. So one thing to call out is that HubSpot is doing a great job in regards to releasing weekly function updates. And they have a newsletter that they've released as part of this to ensure that everyone's up to date in regards to these changes, because it is going to be fast-paced in regards to the tweaks that they're going to be making on this. You can export things to like Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets, for example. So the idea here is that they're going to start integrating it not only with more third-party tools, so that data that you're capturing in ChatSpot can immediately go to those actually third-party tools, but equally making it greater integrated with HubSpot platform itself. So things like these sales emails that we've generated in due course, I envision that you're going to be able to just one click, push that to HubSpot. And then as you go to send this out, where it's got here to information name, it will just add that personalization token for you automatically.
Yeah. This is going to be, I could already see this is going to be really big, and probably the way we start using HubSpot in the future.
Absolutely. And I think another one that I can see value that we're going to start, I think companies are going to immediately start seeing value. So as part of my onboardings, typically companies will come to me, let's say, with questions in regards to what their reporting requirements are. So a lot of sales, marketing teams obviously have a lot of questions in regards to how are we performing in X, Y, or Z? What is the state in regards to my open notes or anything of that nature? You can effectively now just come to ChatSpot and go, list all my notes, for example. And then all being well, this is just going to pull that back through for us. Equally, sales teams who, let's say, need to run regular queries in regards to how am I performing as an individual, we could show, create a basic report on my closed deals this year. Now, all being well, again, touch wood, this is going to generate a report for us automatically. And like I say, during my onboarding sessions, typically I would speak to organizations and get them thinking about what are your reporting requirements. And typically they just come back to me with questions. How are we doing in X? How many leads have we generated in a certain time frame? If these users now can just ultimately come to ChatSpot and ask ChatSpot, the AI system, that exact same question, and it's going to come back with the results for them, as well as generate a report. This could be based on a recent cleanse within our demo portal.
Okay. Well, I'll show you that. Marina's got quite an interesting question here. My question would be, if you're going to ask ChatSpot to make a note for you, wouldn't you just as well be making the note yourself? She's failing to see the value in the particular instance unless you can ask it to make multiple notes on multiple records with only one question.
Yeah, no, great point. And I think that's like worth calling out. I think what I've tried to demonstrate today is that compared to just navigating to HubSpot and doing those individual activities where you're doing, let's say, going off to the internet to then do your research, and then you're going to HubSpot to then start doing your prospecting piece. If you could just do that as a sequence within ChatSpot, where, like I've demonstrated today, in a matter of minutes, we've kind of gone off, looked up a company, added that contact to the CRM, drafted that email, created that note, and then created that task and then that note. We're able to do that all natively within ChatSpot without going off to these third-party sites or third-party tools. So the idea is that if you could do that as a sequence, I could probably do all of that within the time frame it takes someone to create a note and a task within HubSpot, for example.
Yeah, it's saving you on the amount of clicks and the amount of pages you open, that kind of thing, isn't it?
But correct,
I
think if you're in the CRM and you need to add an individual note or a task to the CRM, it's going to probably be just as easy to navigate to HubSpot, go to that record and do so. But I think if you're looking to do this as part of a prospecting effort, doing that research, as mentioned, drafting that sales email, and then doing your CRM tasks, activities, all in one flow, then that's probably my recommendation there.
Okay, brilliant.
Grant, so the next area I want to float onto is how ChatSpot can actually support your marketing teams. So this is another one that I think a lot of people have started to actually experiment with tools like we've touched on, like with ChatGPT, with Jasper, for example. The idea here is that you can start to get inspiration and start to actually create these frameworks for your campaigns. And what I'm going to go through with you now is actually showcasing how you can start to utilize ChatSpot to go through those sequence of instances. If I just navigate back now, I'm just going to start myself a new chat. So how HubSpot can actually ChatSpot, HubSpot's AI solution can help you is get inspiration and actually accelerate and increase the content and copy output. So what I mean by that is if you're one person marketing department that is obviously trying to coordinate not only the image creation, the blog creation, the research, the reporting, effectively, you can do that better at scale, get greater results and efficiencies by utilizing something like ChatSpot. And I'm about to run through that for you now. So if we just take the first instance of keyword research, now I know this is something that is quite popular amongst organizations trying to better understand how they organically rank. As you can see here, we do have the option to actually look that up. So if we just take here ChatSpot, HubSpot again, what this is going to do for us is actually go and look up the organic keywords that HubSpot generate. So the idea here is you can either utilize this obviously for inspiration, trying to better understand how you perform as an organization as well. But if we just say we've identified here that as actually a key keyword that we want to actually start targeting for, it makes sense then for us to start generating some content off the back of that. So obviously we can start doing that to scale to obviously perform better against those keywords themselves. So if we just take the example here of tagline, which I believe, here we go. So we want to create a tagline relating to a powerful marketing automation software. Now, what this is going to do for us is obviously going to generate a tagline for us. He says, let me just run that query again. A tagline for us based on marketing automation that we can start to use for something like blog titles. We can start to use that maybe for things like content titles, social post titles. And here we go, revolutionizing your marketing game with our powerful automation tool. And as you can see, what we can do is either post that to HubSpot, we can save that to Google Docs, or we can create an audio podcast. So as you can see, with some of these queries that you do run, there is the option here to actually take some actions, which will automatically generate that content within HubSpot for us if necessary. So we've got our title now. Obviously, the next step is actually want to generate a blog. So we can go draft a blog based on powerful orange marketing automation software. So similar to that, when we generated the sales email itself, actually ChatSpot is going to go off and generate a first draft for us so we can use that as a framework and inspiration towards actually creating our own blog post.
Yeah, that is so cool.
And again, just with one query, as you can see here, we've done like, let's say a string of 2 to 3 queries so far. We've already done our research. We've already got our title. We've now got our blog. Obviously, with one click here upon selection of this, that's actually going to push that blog post out to HubSpot for us automatically. And now we can just view this in HubSpot. So this utilizing your existing templates is now available to you within HubSpot.
And then you can start amending it from there.
Exactly that.
That's got to save so much time.
Now, similar to things like Jasper, for example, we've got our title, we've got our blog post now. Okay, we just need an image so we can start to use for socials. We can obviously use it in the blog as a hero image. So this is my favorite. So if I go generate an image of a, let's say, powerlifting orange, based on obviously having powerful marketing automation solution. Now, there is some settings within ChatSpot that enables you actually to choose your brand style. And what it would do is automatically apply that style for you.
Where's it got that from?
Well, it's pretty accurate, would you not say?
Yeah, but where's that? That's not ChatGPT, is it?
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't know they could do images on there.
I believe this is all underpinned by ChatGPT.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. Sorry, I
No,
interrupted you.
you're fine. Yeah. So obviously we can now, with one click, upload this image straight to actually HubSpot itself. That's then available to us in our image library. And then again, we can use that on our social posts and we can add that to our blog post. So as you can see, in my opinion, a matter of minutes, we've been able to do the research, the actual content creation and the image creation so that we can add this as our first draft. The idea then is that obviously you scrutinize this internally, you have that human intervention, and then you make sure it's obviously got your tone of voice. It's got obviously the relevant keyword mentionings and all that kind of glorious work. But to scale, as you can see, I could sit here for a matter of an hour and start generating blog posts, social posts, and all of that glorious stuff. So we can start to devise that content strategy fairly effortlessly.
The only problem I see here is, I know that you're not an SEO
The keyword,
expert,
rankings.
but would it, with everyone, if everyone went to this model, or even just a single person, would it not affect SEO ranking? And I'm just blue sky thinking here, because I know that you're not like a SEO expert or anything, but don't you think there could be some
So there are some
hindrance
tools
there?
Yes, there's some tools out there now, and Google has said themselves that they're looking to penalize organizations that are using AI generated content if it is like a copy and paste in that instance, which is again another recommendation why organizations should scrutinize this, ensure that there is tweaked and customized to, you know, all that things we keep reiterating, like tone of voice and your keywords and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, companies like Google, for example, are going to penalize companies that will just lift this and put this straight into HubSpot or any other tool on that basis, because they don't want people just to mass generate content that is created by AI where there is inaccuracies, for example, or there may be exact versions of the same thing. So the idea here is that, yeah, it needs that human intervention. And especially for SEO reasons, we do recommend, again, that has some tweaking to ensure that you're not penalized by these search engines as a result. Yeah,
which just goes back to what we were saying. It's not going to take over your job because it can't do all that. It's going to have to be amended by a human, because the likes of Google and Bing, they're already thinking of ways to penalize AI in this market.
Exactly that. And it's to ensure that stuff is organic and accurate, right? And it has obviously come from a genuine place. But this, I think, in due course, with time, this could make you a marketeer.
Me?
Yeah.
Who would have thought it? Who would have thought it?
But let's just work on your sales admin first, I think.
I'm sure Hugh would agree as well. Vinny's got a question here. How can you generate an image for a social media post?
I think exactly the same prospect. I think in this instance, you just upload this straight to HubSpot. You can see here we have the option to add this to our recent blog post. But in this instance, I'd say just upload it to HubSpot. If you're drafting that post natively within HubSpot, it's available to you in your image library then, and you just upload it to your post.
Do you mind just trying something for me?
Go ahead.
Could you ask it to generate an image and post to social media, or like post to Twitter or something? I don't know if your HubSpot's linked to.
It won't do that, I don't think so. Our social accounts aren't linked to the demo at the stage. And secondly,
in theory,
the thing is, without actually drafting that post, if we gave it the command of generate that image and post that, it's just going to post that image with no text.
Okay.
Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
So the idea here is that, again, a great question. I think, again, I'm not surprised in a matter of weeks, if not months, that functionality is going to start getting rolled out and more entwined with like your paid ads, paid accounts and your social accounts. But at the moment, it is a case of generate the social post, generate the image, and then push those to HubSpot.
Okay.
So the drafting sequence, you may still need to do some steps natively within your portal, but I don't think it's in a position at the moment to generate an image, send it to your social channels on the basis that you'll technically just be posting an image.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I thought you were going to ask me to generate an image for you then.
I was, and then I was going to say, can you post to social media?
What image did you want?
Honestly, I can't even think of anything right now. My mind's blank. Maybe on a Pokemon? I don't know.
Just an image of a Pokemon.
I saw something interesting actually on LinkedIn this week where, who was that guy? Mark Cohen? Is that the guy who does all the RevOps stuff with the hat and all the wild stuff?
Cohen,
yeah. He built HubSpot Pokemon.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
An image software. I've not tried it to this extent, and I'm intrigued on where we're going to go with this. Accuracy, indicate, what are you guessing?
I have no idea. I got put on the spot and just said one of my favorite. Oh, look at that!
I mean,
that is pretty cool.
I was expecting less, and that's not to underestimate the platform. That's just more of my apprehension.
Yeah, awesome. I know. I'll be doing for the rest of this week is just making Pokemon.
Awesome. So not only that, these ones are going to be a bit lighter, but there is also ways actually not only obviously streamlining your administration, which is going to make your admins much happier and your team leaders and your managers, because you're keeping on top of your day-to-day activities and ensuring you're logging obviously those activities. But in conjunction with that, there's ways of actually streamlining, let's say, your initial queries that may get escalated towards your sister administrators. So I'm about to showcase now a couple of examples in regards to how HubSpot ChatSpot can actually streamline those queries and actually relieve the administrators themselves with day-to-day queries. So a couple of examples given here is, so as mentioned, we can minimize those queries and free up the system admins themselves. And ways we can do that is actually have ChatSpot answer some of these first queries. So in other words, if you're a user of the system, you're unsure of how to do a particular thing. If you're a user of the system and you're unsure how to do your knowledge-based lookups, so you're unsure of where something's located in HubSpot or how to actually use that tool, you can actually ask ChatSpot and it will come back with those answers for you. And I'll showcase that for you in a second. But in addition to that, and one example, and this functionality again is relatively new and it's getting built out more, is the administration side of things. So if you want to go show me a list of, let's say, all of our users in the system, this is where ChatSpot can do that for you automatically within your portal. So to put that to use and to showcase here live. So if we say, show me where data sets are in HubSpot. Are you aware of data sets?
Data spots.
Data spots. Are you aware of data sets?
No, I don't think so.
And here we go. So what we've got two options. So it's given us actually a breakdown. So if you navigate to reports and then data sets, which is actually exactly where it's located, or alternatively, we can click to visit. And then as you would expect, it's going to navigate us straight to that tool within HubSpot. So here's your data sets.
Just for my own sake, what's data set?
So data sets enables you to create a subset of data within your portal. So for example, I want to generate, so let's say you as a sales user want to generate your own reports.
Yeah.
Let's say some of that terminology within the portal you're not necessarily familiar with, like the number of open deals, for example, and you just want to have like open deals. So you know what property to reference as part of your report. Yeah. You just effectively create a subset of data, which then you stipulate what information they have access to, and then you can relabel that stuff. So then a day-to-day user can just go into that data set and generate their own reports.
Okay, yeah.
Compared to having all of the noise of all of the information within the CRM with different terminology and all that stuff. It proves most popular, I guess, with like team leaders and management, for example.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. I think I was just having a blonde moment.
That's it. So this is obviously us now finding out. And then actually, this is what I should have done. So I should have gone knowledge base, look up how to use data sets. I should have actually just asked the system.
This is what I'll be doing.
Yeah, literally.
When I'm a marketer.
When you're a marketer, it's like, how do I become a marketer?
How do I do it?
So all being well, HubSpot's now going to actually just search its knowledge-based articles for us. It's obviously going to try and look up things that are relevant based on our query. And now it's actually just come back with that exact information. And as you can see, again, we can just navigate straight off to that article. And the whole purpose here is, again, to relieve that system administrator within your organization so they can focus on the more pivotal tasks at hand. So if users of the system want to ask about a particular function, not only can they give you navigated to where that function is, but they'll also have some articles to support them utilizing that tool. And again, as an onboarding specialist, I have no concerns that this is going to replace my job. Like, this is obviously informing the user of how to use it, not necessarily the finite details of the configuration process, the things they need to be mindful of, let's say the processes and the actual stages or whatever it may be. But the idea here is that you're just empowering the user so they can self-service themselves. So they're not having to go off to actually the administrator themselves or do that lookup externally from HubSpot. You can just do it all natively within one tool.
Yeah.
Perfect. And another cool one that I enjoy. So look up, actually list a full list of users. Now, all being well, this is going to come back and generate that list for us. And then here's all of our list of our CRM users.
Wow.
And then pretty much the last one from me, because I found this one quite peculiar. Look up user Wyatt. If it's going to probably come back with a different query this time. But when I did this last time, let me try that again. Don't say I'm going to end on one that doesn't work. Just my luck, Johnny. Just my luck.
No, come on.
Keep the faith. This is the Twitter module. No.
And there it goes.
And there you
You're
have
going
it.
to remain in a job. Don't worry, Ash.
I did that as intentional.
Yeah. To prove your point.
So really, I appreciate I've just gone through a lot of stuff there, and I think it would just be of value just to kind of summarize here. So overall strategy again, and ways that actually you can start leveraging ChatSpot, I think, immediately as this functionality again is being built out. And for anyone who hasn't actually got access yet, we'll share the link and how you can actually join to get on the waiting list. And the idea here is that as the product starts going into beta, they'll start accepting more users to the platform. But in the interim, again, just to summarize, you can speed up user and team processes as proven. So the prospecting, the actual general research, all of that can be done in a string of few queries. You can minimize that mundane day-to-day activities. So Johnny, no further excuses, not doing your CRM administration.
Oh,
you can just do it by asking the system to do it for you. And then
no
you can
badmin allowed anymore.
No badmin.
No badmin.
And then you can improve your sales and marketing engagement. And the way you can do that is obviously by upscaling and efficiencies, by actually generating that content for you. And again, just to reiterate, that requires human intervention. But the idea here is you can start to get that inspiration immediately. And then lastly, you can effortlessly get the visibility on your performance. And you do so by just asking the system to generate those reports. So a few other things to summarize. Again, HubSpot, you're already starting to use those AI features as talked about: data cleansing, email capture, call recording transcription, SEO suggestions, adaptive testing, easy imports. All of this stuff is AI tools already within HubSpot. So unknowingly, users are probably already using AI within HubSpot. The idea here is this is just another string to your bow, so you can actually start to gain those efficiencies within your CRM as a whole.
Nicely done.
Thank you. And on that basis, I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh, no, don't stop sharing.
You don't want to stop sharing?
Yeah, don't just carry on yours. Might as well.
Makes sense. Over to you, my friend.
Yeah, we've gone over some of these today. Is where to be careful when using AI. It doesn't have the capability to show empathy, which we've highlighted. So you will need to change the output that you will get from AI. It just is there for a framework, really.
Correct.
Or to give you inspiration.
Exactly that. And I think it's treated no different than that of, let's say, the report library, the email library, the dashboard library. The idea here is it's just giving you that inspiration, showcase you the breadth of functionality available to you within HubSpot. So it still requires that human intervention, but this is just ways to actually start gaining those efficiencies.
Yeah, and something we like to discuss, I'll be quick, is the SEO penalties, but Google already are looking into this.
Correct.
And they will penalize you in the future. And the main consideration is when and actually where to use AI. It's not appropriate in all parts of your business.
Nope.
Your customers may not appreciate it in some areas as well.
Service, I would ignore for the time being. I think if you're going to start sending templated drafted emails to people for service responses,
people might get annoyed.
Correct. So again, just be mindful of how you leverage these tools. But as some of the examples we showcased for you today, these are immediate starters, in my opinion.
Yeah, brilliant. And if you want any help if you're looking into AI at the moment and you want to implement it as part of your strategy, feel free to get in touch with me. We'll be sending my meeting link out along with these slides. Just pop a time that suits you and we can have an open discussion about how you want to use it.
And I genuinely, no means of exaggeration, there may even be on this session itself. I only had a conversation yesterday about companies starting to look into external tools such as call transcription for their sales teams. And the fact that you can actually just have that with your HubSpot platform, it's a no-brainer in my opinion. The fact that you can start having these AI tools to start automating some of these processes for you, all within one CRM. So if companies are looking towards digital transformation and how you can actually start leveraging and staying ahead of the curve and utilizing some of this functionality, Johnny's your man.
Thanks, man. Really, really quickly, I appreciate it's 12 o'clock and most people want to go to lunch, but quick Q&A. If you've got any questions, although it has been pretty open session, I feel like the Q&A has been going along.
Yeah, I've not been stumped yet. Normally, I think when I do these, someone actually has a question I have to take offline. So if anyone is quickly able to put me on the spot and challenge me, you literally have a matter of seconds.
Yeah, just pop them in to the Q&A now if you do have any questions. If not,
is it 12 o'clock?
It's 12 o'clock. We've got lunchtime, man.
I have waffled on that long. I do apologize and I appreciate everyone's patience as always. It has been fun, Johnny.
Hey, dude, on to the next one. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a lovely afternoon.